Every game summarised in about a minute. A hidden hero for every game, the Brownlow predictor, and just one more thing to wrap up round one in a neat little bow. Welcome to Daz Talks Footy. As always, I am Daz, and I hope you guys have had a fantastic weekend. I hope you guys are doing fantastically now. I don't want to ramble on like I did in the round one preview video. I won't be doing it like that. I've got a fresh way that I can do my preview video, so I hope you stick around for that. Like the video if you do like the video. If you haven't subscribed already, please do so. Only takes a second. Makes all the difference in the world. Hoping you guys can get on board the best footy community on YouTube. What a start to the year it was. Let's get stuck straight into it with the grand final replay. The D's were awesome around the ball, and Christian Petrarca, turns out, is a star, and the Dogs should have probably tagged him. Another 38 disposals. He was absolutely fantastic. What I really liked about the Demons is guys that didn't have fantastic games still stood up when their moment came about. Angus Brayshaw went back with the flight of the ball when the Demons were up 11 in the last quarter. James Harms took a big mark at the top of the square and kicked it to put them up 3 goals. They were the two straws that broke the Doggies back. The Dogs at centre-half back and centre-half forward, if we include Aaron Norton as the full forward because he was the only real tall, have got major issues. Their forward line as a whole, the Dogs, did not look cohesive whatsoever, which is a massive problem. The D's, look, they couldn't have done much more than they already did. I really like the fact that Ben Brown jumped at the footy instead of straight up. So he's jumped out instead of straight up. That was fantastic to see. 3-3 could have been an absolutely massive start. I really liked the game of Tim English from the Doggies as well. He needs to have a career best year, and I'm backing him in to do so. I think the Demons are sending a message to the competition, if I'm being completely honest, that they are here for real. And my hidden hero in the grand final replay was Joel Smith. He took 3 marks in a row to stop Dogs' attacks when they were trying for their 9th goal in a row. His kicking's not his strength. It doesn't need to be. He held down the fort, and he's going to be the one to miss out when Jake Lever comes back. But he just adds to the depth magnificently. I was really happy for him. He played his role magnificently. The Dogs are in a little bit of trouble. The D's are off to a flyer. But let's move on to another MCG game where the Blues broke the hoodoo. The Blues having a cohesive midfield just looked fantastic, and even without Sam Walsh, Cripps, Kennedy, Hewitt, and Chera were all absolutely fantastic and took the genuine piss, which we love to see. Loved Mitch McGovern's game at halfback. He looks like he's ultra comfortable at that level. Whenever the ball hits the ground, Oscar McDonald makes me nervous, but in the air, he nullified Tom Lynch magnificently, in my opinion. I haven't seen a Richmond midfield look that slow and one-paced in a long, long time. Dusty didn't really look like he got out of first gear, but the likes of Graham didn't really get involved in the game. Prestia is hurt again. That guy is made of tissue paper. It is unbelievable how fragile he is. He'd get a hamstring injury standing in line at the post office. I do feel for him. The Richmond fans are going to be understandably frustrated, but this is all about the Blues. They looked good going forward. They've let Adam Sard off the chain, which is fantastic. They are trusting their defensive structure behind the ball, which we love to see. Sam Doherty's performance, it was in the intro and it's here, it was so inspiring. If you're at the ground, please comment below and let me know what you thought, because it was just eerie watching it on TV. For Richmond, Jaden Short was their best player, and without Basher Hooley there, they want the ball in his hands, and rightly so. But the Blue Baggers are on top of the ground, and they are flying, which we absolutely love to see. Footy is better when Carlton win. Sorry for everyone that's butthurt by that statement, but it's just a fact. My hidden hero in this game was Corey Durden. That number 19 on a small forward at Carlton just makes sense. I'm not saying he's the next Eddie Betts, but as far as jumper transitions go, it looks a good one. His pressure acts were fantastic. He was annoying around the ball, which is a small forward you absolutely need to be. And whenever he'd go near it, the Carlton crowd would just get a little bit louder, and especially when he kicked that goal, the crowd went nuts, and it was fantastic to see. So well done, Corey Durden. Well done, Carlton. Richmond have got a bit to think about. Honestly, didn't expect to see Collingwood go this well this early. Now, I loved everything that they did. They didn't go lateral without a plan, whereas they look like they went lateral without a plan last year. But I thought De Goey, although I do not like the fact of anything about his situation, He played well, and it sucks to say. It really does. Pat Lipinski, what a debut. No wonder the Dogs didn't want to get rid of him. Every Dogs fan that I spoke to in the offseason didn't want to see him go. He did magnificently. Taylor Adams, I think, did his job. I don't think it was his most noticeable game, but he did his job, which we love to see. Nick Dacos looks comfortable at the level. His first, that kick across goal, the Dogs got stuck into him. I love the fact the teammates stood up for him. He got better and better as the night went on, and the Pies won out in the end. Mason Cox's performance is something that I think will go under the radar. He's not my hidden hero, but he competes in the air. They still need a second tall. He's not the answer. And Nathan Kruger coming back, hopefully does well. Darcy Cameron, again, is not the answer, but a nice depth piece, if you like. Collingwood still need a full forward. There's no wonder they went after Ben King. They really need him. But I want to touch on the Saints really, really quickly. They are a fraudulent list. There's no other way to put it. Jack Sinclair and Jack Hayes, who made his debut, by the way, were the only Saints you could give massive ticks to. And it's that simple. Jack Steele's got the credits in the bank. The rest of them have got no credits in the bank. They've gone nowhere. They won a final a few years ago, and since then they have looked insipid, and they did it again. Their ball movement was frustrating. It's round one for everyone, and I hope they bounce back. They got Freo next week. That will be a tantalising game, but if they don't get off to a good start, no wonder Brett Ratton's job's on the line, and I feel for Rats because it's not him, it's the troops that are the problem. Max King had a shocker. Jack Higgins couldn't finish off his good work, but they looked soulless. Speaking of soulless, hi Essendon. Your defensive structures were a joke, a genuine joke. And again, not writing you off for the year, and I'm not writing St Kilda off for the year, but you are the only two clubs that should be panicking right now because that was bad. There's not really a lot to say about Geelong. Danger looked fantastic. I'm so happy for Tyson Stengel. Anyone that can change their behaviour and grow, I'm a big fan of. He'd been a naughty boy. He's not one now, and he's doing great things. Tomahawk looks fit and powerful. Fingers crossed Jeremy Cameron and Kyle Langford are okay and can get through, hopefully, the next couple of weeks and both come back with different injuries, but that's the way that it goes. The Bombers, look, Nick Martin, amazing, and should win the Rising Star. If he doesn't, it's rigged. If they give it to Dacos especially, but if they pick Josh Rochelle, they both kicked 5. Martin had 27 touches and was the best on the ground for his team. Now, I'd argue Rochelle is the best Crow on the field as well, but he had a much smaller gap with Ben Keys and Matt Crouch, but I'll talk more about that in the Adelaide game. The Bombers were deplorable. The Cats got it done in a professional way. Hope Sam DeConning comes back from concussion well as well. My hidden hero in this game was Brad Close. Thought he did a lot of good things up the ground. I think he needs to become a little bit more damaging around the goals, but it did not matter in this game at all. He was fantastic. So were the Cats. A lot to think about from the Bombers. Luke Parker is an absolute star. Now, calling him the most underrated player in the competition is not something that was a hill that I was dying on alone. Plenty of you were there with me as well, so I'm not saying as like I was right, everyone else is wrong. It's not like that, but what a performance. 21, 5 goals, won the Brett Kirk medal, his 4th, which was fantastic. Love to see it from him. He was a star, but what will please Sydney people is he wasn't the only star. Nick Blakey down back was fantastic. Their young midfield group were awesome. I've got no idea why Josh Kennedy is on a halfback flank. I really hate that. They were a little bit Buddy central, and they stopped it in the last quarter when they finally broke away from the Giants. So the quicker that Buddy can get the 1,000th goal, the better it'll be for the group. And no Tom Papley or Jake Lloyd in this side, but the Swans played like they didn't miss them in a big way. I didn't really notice Lloyd's absence, and Papley not there did take effect at the bottom of the pack, but it didn't affect them too much. So with those two guys coming back hopefully soon, I think Lloyd is this week, Papley is a couple of weeks away, it'll only be better for the Swans. For the Giants, they just couldn't get it done. Himmelberg didn't offer a yelp after the first quarter, it seemed. Riccardi was pretty invisible. They need Hogan back. They need to be able to kick their goals. Tom Green was genuinely outstanding, which we love. Stephen Canelio looked good in his return and plenty of scope for improvement. The Giants, they're one of the teams that are fighting for that 7th to 12th spot. I don't think they lost any fans on this day, and Phil Davis's job on Buddy was outstanding. Would love to see him get a Brownlow vote. He didn't in my algorithm, and I don't think he will, but like Sam Taylor on Hawkins last year, did an outstanding job that should be rewarded. A great win for the Swans. Let's move on. And my hidden hero for this game was Ollie Florent. Luke Parker got the love, Nick Blakey got the love from the commentary team, but Ollie Florent looks like he's really maturing into a footballer, and I love to see it. He was already good, but I reckon he can take that next step this year, and he certainly did so in this game. This was not a good game of football. For the first 3 quarters, this game was not good to watch at all. Scrappy, turnover-ridden, plenty of bloopers. Alir as well. Joe Danaher, he's just going to be a brain aneurysm for Brisbane fans this year. But I want to give a little bit of a shout-out to Chris Fagan here, who did a really good job at settling Brisbane. He put Ainsworth at half-back. He let Starcevic go once Gray and Rosie got knocks, and they became a lot more damaging out of the back half. Daniel Rich was pretty quiet, but they still managed to rebound pretty well and broke the power. Now, I don't think Port are going to take a lot of negatives out of this. They got a lot of injuries. I don't think their inside 50 structure worked that well at all. Georgiades, Marshall, and Finlayson were not good at all. I think they took 8 marks between them for 22 disposals, and I don't think they kicked a goal. They might have, or maybe 1 or 2, but they were not looking good at all. I know Finlayson didn't score. So the power, they've got a bit of work to do. They've got the Hawks next week. Although with their injuries, they should get the job done. I'm looking forward to seeing what these 2 teams do. They were 2 and 3 respectively on my power rankings. I was happy to get the tip right, but I get the feeling that those 2 will be swapping at the end of March. But a good win by the Lions. And my hidden hero for this game, Brisbane Port, Lincoln McCarthy. He was fantastic. That front half, he looked so dangerous. Ryan Burton did a magnificent job in shutting down Charlie Cameron. Huge prompts to Birdo. But McCarthy on the other end was fantastic. Was a spark every time they went forward, whether they had the momentum or not. So a shout out to the former Cat. This game sucked. Even as a Hawthorn fan. Wasn't a fan of it at all. For 3 quarters, Chad Wingard did nothing, broke the game open, but what was really pleasing to see as a Hawthorn fan was the young guys take over. Mitch Lewis, 6 contested marks, 9 for the game. He looked like John Coleman in that first half, was genuinely outstanding. But Jai Newcomb played as a ragged half forward, it looked like. 18 disposals, 15 of those were in the forward half, and he just looks a goer, which we love. He's kicking inside 50. He had an absolute couple of shockers, but I think he had about 4 more of them, which were lace out perfect. Loved it. It was great to see Chankwath Giath and James Sicily back out on the park down in the defense. Sicily took a while to get going. He didn't really have his kicking shoes on, but still performed really, really well. And Jack Gunston is my favourite Hawk. To kick 3-4 was a bit flattening, but he looked ever so dangerous. And the Hawks really need to improve their kicking inside 50 on the lead, because Jack can still kick 40 goals this year. But he is much, much better, either one-on-one or out on the lead. In a pack, Jack is not at his best, and I hope the Hawks can calm that down. For North, Jason Horne-Francis had his moments. I was really worried about how much David King was talking about him. Get some pressure off the kid. He had his moments. He looked fantastic. But Luke Davies-Uniacke was a player who I'd potted a little bit in the preseason. He looked awesome. All the credit to him in the world. He was fantastic. Jai Simpkin as well was great. Luke McDonald as well. Aaron Hall got plenty of the ball. Didn't use it as well as he should have. But Luke McDonald, Luke Davies-Uniacke were fantastic. Both teams are rebuilding. I think the Hawks are in a better place. But this game was just not fun to watch. And if you weren't a fan of either team, don't watch it. My hidden hero in this game was Harry Morrison. I put it on him to have a career best year so he can sign a contract extension and further his career, and he did himself every favour to get that done. He can play on a wing and halfback. He offers that versatility. He's kind of the 22nd guy in a best 22, but I thought he was genuinely outstanding. Just because a game is close does not make it a good game of footy. This was turnover-ridden, mistake-ridden, and if it wasn't for a bonkers finish, no one would be thinking this game was any good at all. Huge prompts to Freo because it looked like Adelaide were getting the rub of the green, and I want to talk about the umpires later on. But they fought, they scrapped, they kicked 11-17. They did everything that they could to not win this game. Heath Chapman at the end was genuinely awesome. Andy Brayshaw was fantastic. Will Brodie and Jordan Clark on their debuts were awesome for the Dockers as well. They did look like they lacked a bit up forward at times, but Lockie Schultz looked ever so dangerous. Michael Walters, if he keeps playing like that, this is going to be the last year we see him on a list, but I'm tipping him to bounce back. No Sean Darcy. I thought they did pretty well against Riley O'Brien as well. Lloyd Meek did fantastically, and for the Crows, to see Matt Crouch come out of it fully fit was awesome. Ben Keys, 37 disposals. What a gun he is. And with Laird coming back, Sloan needs to be pushed out of there and put on a half-forward flank, in my opinion. Harry Schonberg needs time. Wayne Miller needs time in there. They need pace in that midfield for sure. The Crows, their tall forwards, Thorpe and Fogarty, didn't really have an impact, which wasn't great to see as far as the Crows are concerned. But again, the Crows are probably a bottom 6 team. Freo, if they fix some things up, will be fighting for a spot in the 8. And look, it went down to the wire. It ended with a really good highlight. So that's the way you got to look at it, I think. And both teams will be looking to move on next week. My hidden hero in this game, he was dangerous in the air and on the ground. And even when the Crows got momentum, he was fighting all the way through. Sam Switkowski, he was fantastic. So he is my hidden hero. How good is it to see Matt Rao fully fit? Absolutely awesome. I need to give prompts before I talk about anything else to Isaac Rankin. If Luke Davies-Uniacke was the guy I potted the most in the preseason, Isaac Rankin was second. 23 disposals, 3 goals, ran out the game brilliantly. I'll put my hands up. He was fantastic. I'm not saying I was wrong, but he was genuinely fantastic. And I'm not saying he needs to do that every single game to be a good player. Not at all. But the way he was able to impact the game, both kicking the ball inside 50 and kicking the ball, obviously, through the sticks, was awesome. Fantastic. Touk Miller is doing what Touk Miller does. Thought Noah Anderson was really good in this game as well. But the Eagles deserve a lot of credit in this game. They only had about 25 fit blokes to choose from, and it took Gold Coast 3.5 quarters to put them away. Jermaine Jones was genuinely outstanding. I really liked the look of him, and he looks fit, free, and ready to go. Tom Barras kicking his first goal was a fantastic sight to see, but I don't think the Eagles should be looking at this in an overly negative way, especially from the outside. No one really expected them to win, and they put up a hell of a fight all the way through. And for the Suns, they needed to win. They did. They get the confidence boost out of it. My hidden hero to finish off the round is Charlie Ballard. He was a wall, and while Sam Collins did a good job on Kennedy, and Ballard didn't really need to take Darling. Obviously, he wasn't there, so he had a lesser quality opponent. To take the marks that he did, he doesn't bite off more than he can chew. He's a fantastic player, and if you're a young player who is maybe a centre-half back, he would be a guy that I recommend you look at that not a lot of your peers would, because he does all the right things. His use of the body is fantastic, and I actually thought this game was a better game of footy than it's getting credit for, and was a fantastic way to finish off the round. So let's get to the Brownlow Predictor. These are all 9 players that picked up 3 votes. Now, Mitch Lewis was a surprise for me, but 6 contested marks works really well for the algorithm. Shout out to Dan Houston for being the only player in a losing team to pick up 3 votes. But if there are any of those that you disagree, guys, comment below, let me know. The algorithm works off the numbers. It's not personal opinion, but honestly, you could have swapped Cripps for Chera, maybe, but I've got no problem with Cripps getting 3. Chera did end up getting the 2, and I'll be updating the leaderboard as we go as a top 5, maybe. But if you guys want to see more, you got to let me know. Comment below, let me know. But those are the 9 players who got the best on ground, and I love all 9 of those picks. But let's get to just one more thing. As fans, if you want to get upset at umpiring, good luck to you. And in the heat of the moment, I absolutely can. But in the grand picture, big picture of things, I should say, the umpires have got one of the most confusing jobs in sports. It's an absolute bonker sport that they play. They've got a lot of things to keep track of. And at the end of the day, I think we need to put the blame on the AFL if you are so frustrated with the umpires for the way that they are telling their umpires to be part-time, keep up to date with all this stuff, be as fit as you are, as mentally aware as you are, and to make sure every decision is perfect. That is too much to expect from a human being. Let's make the umpires full-time with extra training. That would be awesome. Let's give these guys a living wage to umpire and facilitate the game. It makes no sense that the players are full-time and the umpires are not. My gripe with them was the fact that last quarters of games were umpired differently to the first 3, which isn't a fun experience because we want a little bit more consistency. But the umpires are doing a fantastic job. We need to rally around them, blame the players. We need to be blaming the players more than we are blaming umpires. And at the end of the day, if your team didn't win, it's because they really weren't good enough. There weren't a hell of a lot of upsets this round. You could argue Collingwood, but I didn't think St Kilda were a great chance. And sure, should the Max King decision have been paid? Probably. Was Jack Steele's deliberate? Absolutely not. Collingwood played better than St Kilda. You got to live with these things. But that's the round 1 review done, guys. I hope it is in good time. I hope you have a fantastic week. I'm going to make my tips video a lot shorter. I'm not proud of that video, but I'm going to do my best to improve it. That's what we are all about during 2022. I hope you have a fantastic week, guys. I hope you can join me for the round 2 tips video and the Supercoach content if you are getting around that as well. I can't wait to see you again. Goodbye.